Hi, I'm Michelle, and I'm the Executive Catering Chef at the University of New Hampshire's Conferences and Catering Department in Durham, New Hampshire. I'm here today to make some peanut butter bars with you. This is a recipe that I've been using for over 40 years. I started this recipe in 3rd grade with Mrs. Ring. Hi, Mrs. Ring. She used to teach us cooking, and that could be where I actually got my humble beginning, is cooking in 3rd grade. So I chose a recipe that is easy, it's flexible, and it's a great thing because it's a comfort food. It's very homey and addictive. So you're going to love this recipe, and I'm happy to be able to bring it to you. It's the first time I've ever shared it with anyone. So let's get started. Okay, so here we have our ingredients in front of us. We have granulated sugar, brown sugar. We have some rolled oats, and you can use quick oats or you can use just regular oats. If you're going for a gluten-free version, you can use gluten-free certified oats. We have our flour, which can also be the gluten. If you want to make it gluten-free, you can do a gluten-free flour blend. Or you can mix cake flour with all-purpose or white whole wheat flour with some all-purpose, because right now you might not be able to get exactly what you want at the store. So it is, like I said, very flexible. We have some butter, shortening, vanilla, baking soda, peanut butter, and you can use crunchy or you can use regular, or if you want to do this without peanuts, you can use almond butter. That would work as well. My favorite chips, Ghirardelli, love them, and I like the bittersweet, so 60%, and eggs. And as we go through this, I will discuss the ingredients and how to manipulate the recipe a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to get this started. We're going to start with the fats and getting those in the bowl. And the original recipe that I had was all Crisco. There was no butter in it. But as the years progressed and my tastes advanced from my third grade time, I decided I wanted a little more richness in the recipe. And butter will add that. And it also just makes it a little more delicate. So these are both at room temperature. And I did 1/3 to 2/3 ratio. So 1/3 butter, 2/3 of the shortening. Okay, so we get that in. The sugar goes right in next. So 3/4 cup of the granulated. The light brown sugar, don't use dark. It's a little too molasses tasting, so you don't want to have that overpowering everything. And you also don't want to pack it. I find these a little sweet. So over the years, I've reduced here and there the sugars. You can reduce both of them a little bit if you find a little sweet. But kids, they just love sugar, so they won't mind. Okay, so I'm just going to get that going. And this recipe is so easy because you basically just start putting everything in the bowl. So this is combining right now. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. And now I'm going to add the peanut butter. And like I said, you can use almond butter instead of peanut butter if you want. You can use crunchy, okay? Whatever your tastes are. I am more of a creamy peanut butter person. If you have a dog, they could probably lick this. Oh, just kidding. My dog loves it. So, okay. Then vanilla. We have our 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. And I prefer pure vanilla extract, but you could also use imitation. Pure is really expensive. It's like gold, so I use it sparingly, but I love vanilla. And then we have our 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda, and that goes right in as well, okay? Now at this point, I also add the oats because I like the friction that it adds. So it helps the ingredients really mix in there, and you don't run the risk of making this tough. So you have 1½ cups. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. So, flexible, right? This recipe is very flexible. And we're going to get that cranked up a bit for a second. Really cranked up. Now the other thing is if you don't have a stand mixer at home, I have this in here with a paddle implement. You can use a hand mixer, or if you're, somebody with huge biceps and a lot of patience and stamina, you can do this in a bowl with a wooden spoon or a rubber scraper. Okay. So getting a little, see how we have to mix this, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you how this is supposed to look before we add the eggs. Okay, so it's not super light and fluffy because there's so much in there, but you can also just tell it is thoroughly mixed. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get this back on the mixer and we will work on getting to the egg and the flour. Okay, so we have the bowl back on the mixer and we're going to add our eggs one at a time. I use large eggs and these should be room temperature if possible, because if not, it's going to make everything coagulate in here and you do not want to do that. So mixer on medium low, okay, one at a time. Whoop. Uh-oh, two went in. It's okay, because guess what? This recipe is flexible. So I'm just going to let that mix for a moment until it all combines, and then we'll add our flour in. And when you do add the flour, you do not want to mix it very long after. You do not want to develop the gluten, which is the protein in the flour, too much, or you'll have a tough bar. So you do not want to do that. Okay, so this has all come together very nicely for me adding 2 eggs at once instead. Quick scrape just to make sure that all the ingredients are down in the bowl before you add the flour. Okay, so that has all come together and is nice and creamy and mixed. Okay, so the last part is the flour. Now, the trick with the flour is a couple things. Just shake it loosely. So you don't want to pack it. You don't want to scrape with a knife for this recipe. You just want to have it kind of loosely there. And what I do, instead of mixing while I add it, and that was the 1 cup, here's the 1/2 cup. Instead of mixing it while I add it, I get it all in there because I don't want to overmix it. And if I keep it running, it's just going to mix the gluten more and make it tough. So I'm just going to make this come together into a dough. And once it does that, we're going to be getting it into the pan. Okay, so here we are with what we need to get this batter in the pan. Pan spray. And I lined the pan with parchment, but you don't need to. You can spray it really well, and that's fine because you might not have parchment at home. Here in the kitchen, it's a commercial kitchen, so we have all different kinds of sheet pans. This is a quarter pan, and it's 12 by 8. It fits in here fine, but you could use an 8 by 8 cake pan. I actually made them in the toaster oven with the toaster oven pan the other day, and that worked great. I didn't want to warm a whole oven, so it worked wonderful in there. So whatever you got at home, it doesn't matter what they look like. You just want them to be maybe about 1/2 inch at least thick. Because if not, they're going to be too crisp, and you don't, unless you like it crisp. You could always have crisp ones if you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to spray this. Try not to breathe this in. It's reminiscent of Aquanet in the 80s, so brings back memories. Okay, and I put my paper in, and I'm going to spray it one more time just for good measure. You don't need to, but I just do. One for good luck, right? So I'm going to scrape the batter down in the bowl and get it together. And I only mixed it maybe for about 30 to 45 seconds at most when after I added the flour. So got it in this ball now. And now comes the fun part. So sometimes you can put a little water on your hands to make this easier, but I'm just going to go for it. You just basically want to do like a little CPR on it. Press it into the pan so it reaches the edges. Okay, it doesn't really spread much, so if you don't get it to the edges, it will be kind of weird shaped. But once again, it's going to eat just fine, so I wouldn't worry about the shape so much. And it's also going to be topped with chocolate and peanut butter, or a peanut butter icing. So you don't really need to worry if it's a little cosmetically challenged. It's going to be fine. So it's a great one to do with your kids. Just make sure that everyone has washed their hands before they start making this, and also just wash them again before they do this part, okay? Because you are getting very hands-on. If you want to wear gloves, because a lot of people have gloves at the house right now, you could always use gloves as well. Okay, so I'm just pressing it in, and then if you do have a spatula or, a butter knife or something, you could use that to kind of spread it more evenly, or just press it in there. It's fine if you just press it, okay? So I'm just getting a little flatter, make sure it goes out to the edges. Okay? And this is what you're looking for, and we'll get it in the oven, okay? Going to bake this 350 degrees, and the time's going to vary a bit depending on how thick it is. So start checking it around 10 to 12 minutes. Turn it if your oven is a little uneven in the cooking. But basically you want it to be a rich golden brown, and a toothpick should come out pretty clean on that. All right. Okay, so now we get to the icing, the peanut butter drizzle. I think is the best part of this recipe. There's a lot of flexibility in this because I like a lot of it on my peanut butter bars. The original recipe was just kind of on there a little bit, but I like to really, I would probably just slather it with it. So I tend to double it. But with this, there's a lot of play in the sense that you can have it a little thicker by adding a little more sugar, a little less milk. You can have a little more peanut butter if you want more of a peanut butter flavor. So take the icing recipe with a grain of salt. I will just show you the final consistency once we make it to see what you want something that you can plop and also drag a knife through on top of the bars. So if you get to that, if you don't, it's going to taste great anyways. So we start with our sugar in the bowl, and I'm just going to wing it. I'm making a big batch. We will have the recipe right there at the end of the video. Okay, and peanut butter again. Once again, if you want crunchy, you can use crunchy. That's fine too. And this works very well by hand. You don't have to do it in the mixer. I just happen to have a clean bowl and feeling a little lazy, so I'm just going to throw it in this mixer and have that do the work for me. You can add vanilla if you want. I sometimes do. The original recipe did not call for it. So once again with a paddle, or you could use a whisk if you're doing it by hand, might work better. It's going to get crumbly at first, but then once it gets into a crumbly consistency, that's when you're going to start adding the milk a little at a time until it gets to the consistency you want it. Okay? So I've got little crumbles of peanut butter and sugar going in here. And then just very slowly start drizzling. And if it's a little lumpy when you're making it, just keep whisking. The sugar will dissolve. Of course, if you added crunchy peanut butter, it will be crunchy anyways and lumpy. So. All right. See, I didn't have to add that much. And I am going to let this go really fast. I do have some finished here that I will show you. And it's kind of like a drizzly kind of consistency, like that. All right, and that's what you're looking for, because then you can drag a knife through it. You can just slop it all over the top, and it'll look great. All right, let's get on to the next part of our baking. Okay, so our peanut butter bars are ready to come out of the oven. All right, a nice, rich golden brown. And while it's hot, you want to make sure that you're putting your chocolate chips on there. The amount is up to you. There is an amount in the recipe, but I tend to go a little heavy. You don't want it so heavy that oops, they're going everywhere. That when you go to spread it and then it cools, it's really thick, because that's not really great. I don't like to have a big chunk of chocolate there. You need to spread it all over the pan. So I'm probably using about half this bag. It's a 10-ounce bag of the Ghirardelli chips. And now we just need to pop this back in the oven for a minute and let that melt. Okay, so the chips have melted, and you don't even really need to keep the oven on to melt the chips. You can turn the oven off, and just the residual heat will take care of that. And I just want to clarify, even though I love Ghirardelli chips, I'm not here to do an ad for them. So you can use Hershey's chips. You can use any kind of a bittersweet or semi-sweet chip or bar that you just break up a bit. And it should be easily spreadable when you take it out of the oven, and you want to go all the way to the edge. Some people are edge people. My mom is an edge person. I am a middle person for these bars. So you just want to make sure you have enough to cover the entire top. And then once we get this chocolate on, we want to let this cool for about 5 to 10 minutes before we add the icing, the peanut butter icing. And I just find that it's easier to add it. It doesn't tend to start melting everywhere. So that's the best. You want like little blobs of it going on. And you don't want it melting as you do it. So this is kind of what we're looking at, getting it all the way to the edges, flat layer. And we're going to let this cool for 5 to 10 minutes. But through the magic of video, I am able to take one that is already cooled and put the icing on. So you can use spoons. I tend to find them easy. And I just kind of blop it on. And I'll do a couple here, and then I'll try to angle this for you. And you want to get it all over this thing. And you could even spread it on. If you let this cool for 10 minutes and the chocolate starts setting up, you can actually just spread a whole layer of this on top if you want. And this is why I like to do a double batch, because I like a lot of the peanut butter on top. We try to pretend that these are super healthy for breakfast, because there are worse things, right? But they have oats and eggs and peanut butter. So I say it's a great breakfast item. So once you get this blopped everywhere, and that's the only word I can really come up with, You want to take a butter knife, or I'll use this again, and just drag it through. And if you have more icing, just put it all on there. And you're kind of doing streaks back and forth, whatever design you want, drag it through. And this is what you're looking at. So once you get it looking like you want, you let it cool, and you can either cut it into whatever shape you want, rectangles, squares. Store it when it's fully cool at room temperature in an airtight container. If you're going to eat it within a day or two, which you probably will. But if not, I don't recommend refrigerating them. I would store it in an airtight container in the freezer. And they last for a few months, probably if it's an airtight container. So I hope you enjoy this. And here's our peanut butter bar. You will find the recipe and my email at the end of this video. If you have any questions about this recipe or baking questions in general, feel free to email me, or any ideas for upcoming baking videos. I would love to hear them. On behalf of Conferences and Catering and the University of New Hampshire, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today.